Hello, I'm Tim Rogers. You are watching Kotaku.com. E3 press conferences are dead. They are survived by video games themselves. I have been to 17 electronic entertainment expos in my miserable life. My first two E3s, I went as a jerk and a liar, possessing legally defensible yet morally gray borderline falsified credentials. Or maybe that was my imposter syndrome talking. The next 13 E3s, I attended as a video game developer. For the past two electronic threes, I have attended as an on-camera video host for Kotaku.com. For my first 15 E3s, I somehow snuck into all of the press conferences every time. I loved going to those stupid things, and they were exclusive. Only journalists were allowed in. I was not a journalist, and I never will be. I was just some idiot who enjoyed feeling like he'd beaten some system. Tapping directly into the source of video game news made me feel important, which was something I needed in my 20s. We didn't have YouTube back then. We definitely didn't have Twitch streams. In the old days, it took several hours to download even the shortest QuickTime movie containing press event highlights. The only alternative to going to press conferences in person was reading a journalist's blow-by-blow account on a website. With my youth and enthusiasm, I decided to cut out the middlemen. I typed a couple of words onto a little website. It looked like a respectable article. I offered these digitally printed words to the proper authorities as sufficient proof that I was someone with something to say to an audience who might have been listening. I drained my bank account flying to Los Angeles. Under summer heat, I queued up to enter press conferences. By this point in my life, I possessed some similar experience pertaining to airport hotel ballrooms. I had seen several loud men boast about their cars and Rolexes. These airport hotel ballroom experiences had occurred exactly twice before I turned 21 years old. Both times, it happened because a girl invited me to quote-unquote dinner, and then it turned out she was involved deep beneath a pyramid scheme. Both times, it was the same girl. Do something once, and there you are. Do something twice, and you've got a habit. The next time I took a long, hard, critical look at myself, I was getting on an airplane just for the perverse thrill of being talked at by weird, boring men who are vastly less intelligent than me. Ill-fitting suit-wearing boat owners speaking halting sentence fragment salads intoned at us waterfalls of grandiose promises whose hype ignition efficacy their equally awkward underling committees had no doubt guaranteed. I always laughed at the shrill idiocy of these media circuses. I laughed my way right into a job at Sony Computer Entertainment in Tokyo.
Ridge Racer! Remember that one?
Despite my industry insider status, I did not stop registering for E3 as press, and then taking the week off to fly to Los Angeles and act like a blogger again. This brings us to Reggie Fils-aimé. I was there when Reggie Fils-aimé arrived to kick butt and make games. And I hadn't been looking at him for 10 seconds when I realized, no, I was not here ironically. I never had been. I genuinely loved him. I genuinely loved this. I now knew how my alcoholic Uncle Jack felt every time I saw him every other summer as a kid. He looked at me in a daze at his wedding one year, and after his divorce another year. He never failed to ask me how old I was. I showed him fingers. He shook his head. He told me, "You're getting big." Only he didn't say it the way the other adults in my mom's family said it. He said it with a coldness and a precision. I took one look at Reggie Fils-aimé and silently said something similarly cold to the video game industry. Attending video game press conferences was not my guilty pleasure. It was integral to my career. I had previously belly laughed at the spectacle only because I was prepared to constructively criticize it. Reggie showed me that even as I lived and breathed, my favorite hobby was growing up into a beautiful adult before my very eyes. I was there when Master Chief dual-wielded submachine guns in a live Halo 2 demo. I was there when 1,000 or more former or current live journalers looking no different from myself threatened the roof. with their screams upon the revelation of an upcoming Zelda. The powerful men on those stages taught me everything I know about controlling people's minds with gestures, posture, word choice, body language, and intonation. I was there when Ken Kutaragi emerged from backstage with his hands literally on his hips and a grin the size of his skull, ready to hype us about the PlayStation 3. I was there when Peter Moore showed us a tattoo of the release date of Halo 2. I was there on the E3 show floor later that week and I yelled, "Let me see dat tat," at him as he walked by, gracefully ignoring me. I was there when Kaz Hirai joined his hands in a momentary murder hunger banishment prayer immediately before declaring that the PlayStation 3 would cost eager consumers
$599 US.
I was there when Peter Moore told us that games on the Xbox 360 would approach lucid dreams in their Zen realism, immediately before showing us a teaser for Lost Odyssey, which remains one of the 50 best video games of all time. I was there when Jay Allard sat on the stage and talked to us like we were on an MTV pilot targeting kindergartners. I was there time and again when Don Matrick just could not keep his hands out of his pockets. Reggie Fils-Aimé's soul differed ever so slightly from those of these men. Despite his equal power to other big shot executives, despite his similar probable ownership of a yacht larger than any house I will ever own, his fingers never failed to communicate priestly humility and saintly generosity. Take, for example, the simple indication gesture. Reggie pointed with two fingers together, the thumb joining them in an engineer-precise lobster pincer grip, the ring and pinky fingers resting against the bottom of the thumb, the other hand always open and gesturing. Kaz Hirai pointed like he was on vacation and simultaneously wearing sunglasses and dangling a $1 bill in the direction of a hotel valet. Reggie, on the other hand, pointed like he was handing a Denny's waitress a couple of hundreds. I was there when Satoru Iwata refused to wear a suit. I was there when Satoru Iwata did wear a suit and had possibly hired some kind of Silicon Valley brain guru to write his presentation. I was there when Satoru Iwata finally became his fully body-linguistically beautiful self. I was there when Reggie's body was ready. I was there when Nintendo vanished from the live stage, leaving behind only wildly popular, publicly accessible internet video broadcasts. I was also there when Jack Tretton of Sony used the phrase banner year 6 times in the span of 23 minutes. I was there as Sony's Sean Layden ascended in practice and professional posture. 2 years ago, I witnessed Sean Layden every bit as soulful and genuine as Reggie. I was there 1 year ago when Sony's press event metamorphosed into a pop-up Disneyland featuring no speeches, no PowerPoint presentations, and no men in suits. I was there when head of Xbox Phil Spencer started wearing t-shirts on stage. I will not be there for Xbox's event at E3 of 2019. I wonder if Phil Spencer will even wear a suit jacket over his t-shirts this time. What will 2020 bring? Will Microsoft remain the one hardware manufacturer who continues to drag people out of their hotels to wait in line in summer heat? I envision a brilliant future where video game publishers and hardware manufacturers speak to all consumers directly over the internet. Until today, I did not realize that for all these years I was preparing myself mentally for the only job that makes sense: video game corporate executive. Only now, video game corporate executives' time in the spotlight is fading. The games have begun to speak for themselves, and they have begun to speak more loudly than we humans can ever dare. Once again, with my trademark habitual meticulousness, I have have prepared myself for obscurity. As special as I felt attending my first Nintendo E3 press conference, the entirety of Twitter seems to feel every time there's a Nintendo Direct. So when I say video game press conferences are dead, I also say they are survived by a beautiful and capable heir. That heir to the crown is video games themselves. Forever may they live. I was born stupid, however, I will not die hungry. I'll see you at E3 2019. This has been Tim Rogers for Kotaku.com.